Did we really have flying trains 100 years ago? And why don't we anymore? You know what? This one is real history. Though it often gets wrapped into lost technology discussions. You're probably thinking of the Schwebeben, Germany's flying train. The Wuppertal Schwebeben, or flying train, was built in Wuppertal, Germany, which at the time was a combination of several small towns along the River Wupper. It opened to the public in 1901. That's 124 years ago as of 2025. And is an elevated suspension railway. Instead of running on rails on the ground or even going through tunnels under the city, the train cars hang from a single rail above the streets and the river. The idea was first proposed by engineer Eugen Langen in the 1890s. Langen had experimented with different ideas for elevated railways, and he wanted to build something that would be more efficient and less expensive than the cable cars that were popular at the time. He designed a system that would use a single rail with a carriage that would be suspended from it using a wire rope. On May 19, 1901, the first Schwebeben opened in Wuppertal. It ran for about 13 kilometers or 8 miles, mostly over the Wupper River, and connected several towns that were isolated from each other. At the time, there were two stations, Vohwinkel and Barmen, because back then it looked so futuristic. I mean, if I didn't know any better, I'd think this was a picture from the Jetsons. But we know that mass transit in the form of elevated railways has been around since at least the 1860s. So what made the Schwebeben seem so advanced? Well, it was way ahead of its time. Most normal railroads had multiple parallel rails with the wheels of the train staying on the tracks. The Schwebeben only had one rail, and it didn't rely on gravity to make it go down the line. Instead, it used a system of weights and pulleys to keep the carriages suspended and moving forward. It was also much smoother than traditional trains, because it was bouncing along a set of steel rails. It was literally floating above the ground. It was such a novel way of transporting people that when the Schwebeben first opened, Kaiser Wilhelm II of Germany decided to ride it during the opening ceremony. He rode it with his wife, Empress Augusta. In 1950, the Schwebeben carried a baby elephant named Tuffy from the zoo in Wuppertal to the nearby town of Hahn. They were trying to drum up publicity for the railway. The elephant panicked and jumped into the river. The good news is it survived. The bad news is it got tangled up in some cables and had to be rescued by firefighters. So does the Schwebeben count as lost technology? Well, it's still there. You can still take a